There it goes. Hey everybody, good morning. I'm just gonna make two quick videos today. Today's April 22nd, Monday 1.335, and let me start off by saying no makeup. Sometimes I've noticed, like, if you do like a Google search on transgender or male to female, or you look at a YouTube video, you'll see these women, and I guess because they look good, and I'm gonna do air quotes, they look good. They kind of, on Google, they kind of surface up to the top because more people are interested, I guess, in good-looking women. Who would have guessed? So that's why I'm always at the bottom, you know. But today we're going to talk about, real quick, just some thoughts, lessons learned, my lessons learned. Let me rephrase that. If you're interested in my lessons learned about injectional estrogen, and I'll start the conversation by saying I honestly do not believe that any one method is better than the other, and here's why. Okay? Because we're all different. We're all frickin' different. We're all individuals. And you could say, well, statistically, more results from blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. Show me a verified study, please. Don't show me a website. Don't show me what so-and-so said. Okay. Bullshit. Okay? So let's get that little chestnut out of the way. Now, out of 100 people who happen to post on Reddit, some of them might say injections over orals, whatever. Granted, true. Very true. Okay? But we all know that any asshole with a computer can post on the internet. I guess I'm not an asshole anymore. I'm a bitch now. Okay? So any bitch can post on the internet. So again, I would agree with the statement that hearsay, they say, people on the internet say that injections are the best. And if you want the best results, you will do injections. Okay, that's true on the internet. Okay. But again, that's on the internet. Okay. So my suggestion, Karen's words of advice, if you're open to my suggestion, talk to your medical provider. Okay. Find out what works best for you. You may very well start a regimen of orals. Why? Because orals are readily accessible, and when a trans woman walks into, a young trans woman, or I shouldn't say that, when a trans woman first walks into their endocrinologist or whomever they see, I started with a nurse practitioner, and you ask for estrogen or whatnot. Orals are very, very safe. Long history of use. Don't necessarily require a blood test right away. Really, I think the first time we see a provider and we ask for estrogen, we have our letters, etc., etc. I think it's more of a mental health release. Okay. Hey, kitty. It's a mental health thing. We've got to have estrogen. It's a mental health. It helps us, I feel better about myself. I'm on my way to transition, etc., etc., etc. Orals are probably your safest bet. I took Premarin back in the 90s when I first transitioned. Okay, so speak from experience. Okay, with orals. Okay, now. Other method of delivery could be a transdermal patch. It just so happens that because I was a little bit older, I was in my 40s when I transitioned the second time, and this time, I should say, my endo was a little worried about my heart. And so the idea of taking an oral estrogen, which would be so much at one time, or an injection, so much at one time, the concern was for my blood pressure and my heart to start me on a transdermal patch. Okay, so that's why the second time I transitioned, I did it in transdermal patch. Okay. And then had wonderful results, was very, very happy. Unfortunately, those around me started talking about injectables, and I bought into it, and I was like, oh, well, I must be doing something wrong. Let me try injectables. Okay, and I talked to my provider, and that's the other thing. If you notice a trend here, I say talk to your provider, talk to your doctor, do as much research as you want, Okay, learn for yourself. As I've said this before on my channel, you'll and I'm pardoned the broken record is, find out for yourself what works best for you. In an ideal world, you'll try them all. Okay, try orals, try transdermal, try injections, see what works best for you, my friend. Okay, that's going to be the best thing. If you want to be on the average and say, oh, well, I read on the internet that injectables and this news group and this user site and whatever, hey, baby, it's your body. You do what you want to do. Okay? So, again, to sum up, uh, they say, the infamous they say injectables are the best way to go, but the only person who's going to know for sure is you what's best for your body. Okay? So I'm not plugging one over the other. Orals were easy. Real quick, I'll tell you a funny story. The first time I had orals, I went to Taco Bell. I had a good friend at the time, Dan. I'm trying to remember what his last name was. I'm sorry, I've forgotten you, Dan, your last name. I remember your first name, though. And Dan was a female to male transgender, a person who had already transitioned, gone full time, had keyhole surgery, whatever. Dan, I met Dan as Dan. Okay, Dan the man. And we kind of joked about it. And we went to Taco Bell, and I had a gender taco, is what I called it. You know, I ate the taco, and then I took the pills. So, excuse me. So let's talk a little bit. This is the folks. This is going to be on estrogen, on injectables, by the way. I ended up with Del Estrogen, which is a little injectable. It's, from what I understand, and I encourage and invite you to do your own research because I'm not a doctor. But apparently, it's the estrogen is inside some oil in there. And like I said, it's certainly advice is like armpits, my friends. Mine is worse than yours. Mine smells worse than yours, okay? Do your own research if you want to, but for the moment, we got on Del Estrogen, okay? And that's what it is. It's an injectable. So we filled the prescription, gave me the bottle, gave me some needles, whatnot, and that was it. Here you go. Good luck. I mean, they taught me how to do it, taught me how to do the injections, etc., etc. I think I made a video on that. I have a fear of needles, and that was another reason why I put this off for the longest time. And some good friends from Trans Women National, we'll name them Megan and Lacey, were very adamant in educating me on needles, which obviously I did not want to know about. I'm just going to put this cat down because whatnot. Because I don't like needles. I'll be honest with you, I hate needles. I hate the idea of puncturing my skin with metal. It just does not sit well with me. It's the way I was raised. But here's a bit of education for you, okay? Rather than having a system like this, that has the canister, the tube, and the needle, okay? And the idea being, you go home, and you clean your site, you wipe off the pad, and you get the bottle, you get the amount that you need, and you unplug it, and then you stick it in your leg. Well, here's a bit of education on that. The needles come in different sizes, okay? They're based on gauges. That's why usually you'll see a number and a G, a gauge. I can tell you that the larger the number, the bigger the diameter, the outer or the inner diameter is going to be. So big needle. And the greater the number, the teenier the needle is going to be. Okay, so gauge 1, gauge 100, very, very teeny. Okay, don't know if they go down that low. I'm just saying for comparison. So this stuff, this liquid, is pretty thick. It's oil. Okay, so it really doesn't like to go into a teeny, teeny, tiny needle, which is why your provider may just give you one general purpose needle system. Like I said, this is a system. Open it up, take it, throw it away, dispose of it, okay? It says here, destroy after use. We just throw it in the garbage, okay? So rather than doing that, you can mail order syringes. You can mail order the barrels, okay? You can also mail order a big tip, and you can mail order a tinier tip, a smaller tip. Why? Okay. Well, because when you draw out of the little bottle, if you use a bigger tip, it's going to flow through the liquid is going to enter the tube easier. Okay. And then it's a matter of swapping out the needles for a smaller needle. And this, I use, what do I use? I use 20 gauge to draw and 25 gauge to inject. So really it's just a matter of taking your tube, putting on the, and this is a name for this, I think it's called Lure Lock. Yeah, LUERLOC. It's just the system of putting the needle on and taking it off. Hi, baby. You're going to come sit with my video? So it's just a matter of putting in the bigger needle, okay, bigger hole, pulling the liquid down into it, okay, making sure you get all the air bubbles and all that good stuff out, and then swapping off the needle and putting on your needle that you're actually going to inject yourself with, and then getting the air bubbles out, and you're good to go. So many thanks to Megan and Lacey for being so adamant. I am stubborn, and I am old. Stubborn? I'm just a bitch, okay? And, you know, for a $20 investment, like I said, I think I spent like $10 for this. And it is 100 barrels. I was calling them tubes, okay? 100 barrels and 100 needles for less than 20 bucks. I mean, you're set. I'm not going to say for life, but anyway, good investment, okay? Very painful. And like I said, the smaller gauge needle, or I gotta get this right. The smaller needle, the 25G for me, goes into my leg like butter, like a hot knife through butter. But again, that would be an excellent question for your provider, your endocrinologist, or your nurse practitioner, or your doctor, okay? And definitely self-educate. Please don't let my little rant earlier. It pisses me off when people give medical advice without saying, I'm not a doctor. Please check with your doctor. You know, that's why all the commercials you see on TV and, you know, I have plaque psoriasis. That's why I asked my doctor about blah, 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 blah. Okay? So please talk to your doctor. Educate yourself. Find out for yourself. Don't just do what someone else tells you to do. Okay? And after I inject myself, I put a little Band-Aid on the hole. I don't always bleed, but sometimes I do. And that's it. Okay? And that's my little informational lessons learned on injections. And people will definitely try to monkey with your frequency of your injections. My nurse practitioner, Amanda, when I first started, put me on a certain dosage. And, you know, we tried it. Didn't work right. We modified it. You know what I mean? I talked to my provider and I said, I don't think this is working right for me. Okay, well, let's do this. You know. So my friends, I guess the takeaway is take an active role in your transition. And that includes talking to your doctor. Okay. Don't just, well, I'm going to check on the internet. Okay. Of course, you probably found my video by going to the internet. But educate yourself. That would be my takeaway from it. Okay. So that's going to be my injection video. I'm going to do one in a moment about dilating because I was dilating wrong and I gave some I'm not going to say inaccurate information, but I didn't know what in the hell I was doing and found some lessons learned. So, all right, so that's it for this video on injections, and I wish you the best of luck and best wishes in becoming the best version of yourself as you see fit, as you define it, okay? Till next time, bye-bye. Good luck.